Hello and welcome. I'm Tefera Gedamu. My guest today, when she was 9 years and years ago, dreamed of helping disadvantaged children. Now, still a very young girl, Mahider Kebede has realized her dreams. She has opened a new school. But how? A very warm welcome to the program, Mahider.
Thank you.
I am surprised that at your age, you've started such a big project. You wanted to provide education to disadvantaged children. But I cannot understand why.
Well, I was very little when I had this idea. I was a small girl. I remember that I wanted to support children as of when I was 9. And I don't know how I started. I don't know how it came into my mind. Whenever you're a child, you're supposed to say, I want to be a doctor or a pilot. And you really don't know how that got into your mind. So I really can't remember where the starting point is. But as far as I can remember, my dream as a child was to support children to go to school.
You came from a well-off family. You had all the things that kids need to survive, to play and to live. Was it probably that you lived among children when you were going to school, when you were playing, children who were disadvantaged? Could that probably be the case?
Well, I grew up in a family. My mom, a single mom raised me, and I lost my dad when I was in 2nd grade, and I always used to fear that I might lose my mom, and I always felt a pity for children who has lost both parents, and they had if you have no one to take you to school or raise you, you'd be in problem. So I always used to feel sorry for those children because I was fortunate and I have a strong mom who has raised me and sent me to a good school and has provided everything for me as a child. So whenever I used to go to school, I used to see children on the street sleeping, and I used to feel sorry for them because I was going to school while they were just on the street and they had no one to take them to school.
And then it clicked.
I always used to feel sorry for them, and I always used to feel very fortunate, and I wanted to use this chance to support them.
But you had this dream to support these kids, these kids that you've seen in the streets and so on. But what about realizing your project? When did it started taking shape?
Well, when it started taking shape, I was only 16, and my mom started supporting me in finding her friends to support the children that I was supporting. So we came up with an idea of finding her friends. Around 10 of her friends started sponsoring these children to go to school. So that's how it started. I was in 10th grade, and it just, we came across my mom's friends who wanted to help me to realize these things.
How do you convince them? At age, you were too young to be able even to articulate issues, particularly in relation to education. To be able to, this is a grand project. This is not an easy task, was it?
No, it wasn't.
How do you convince them? What were the tricks that you used to convince your mother's friends to be able to contribute to this noble idea?
Well, I don't know. I guess they felt sorry for a young girl who was trying to support children. Some of them were really happy about supporting them, so they were, okay, if you're trying to do something like this, maybe we can support you with these things. So, and then I came across celebrities, some famous singers and people who are close to the media, and they started contributing more. And it just started. It wasn't that difficult to realize it, and it wasn't that easy as well. It was just a matter of trying to do it. As long as you try to stand there, then there's always a way that you can do it.
But you need to be taken seriously, and at that age, it's very, very difficult for someone to take you seriously.
Yeah, partially it was difficult, but it was also okay. A lot of people did not take it seriously, but they wanted to support me. They really didn't think that I would achieve it, but they didn't want to say no to me.
So when did this idea for building a school or starting school, launching one, came?
Well, I once talked to Johannes. He runs a public library uh, around Shola. I mean, around where they have Global,
Right.
Around Global Hotel. He recently won the CNN Heroes
Right.
too. So we were once talking, and he told me how he started a public library. So as of that moment, I also wanted to start a public library. So I did not start a school at first. I started a public library. So eventually we had a compound. So I mean, why not start a school here too? So we just started the school.
Whose compound with that?
It was a rented compound.
And you started paying rent.
Yeah.
So where did you get these kids? I mean, there are plenty of them on the streets. You have plenty of disadvantaged children in your neighborhood who cannot afford to go to school. Not that they have to pay, for example, to go to public school, but the access may be a little bit difficult. So how did you get these kids over to your school? How did it all get off the ground?
Well, what we did was we went to the Kabale. There's a sector that deals with HIV positive parents as well as single mother children. So we went to that part of the Kabale. We have our own committee, and they have their own committee. So we have 3 criteria. We have totally orphans. We have HIV positive parents' children and single mother children. So we gave them this criteria. We said we wanted this number of children. So can you help us select these children? So we just did it with the Kabale.
And then you started letting them in and teaching them and all that stuff. How bumpy, how difficult, how challenging was it at the beginning? Because you have now a school, and then you have kids, and you have to be able to run it, and that requires so much, money, funding, and all that stuff.
Oh, yes, it does. It does take, but I was all excited and happy about it. So the excitement, I mean, the energy came along the excitement. So this is what I wanted to do, and somehow I did it, and I really wanted to keep it running. So the funding was not easy. I had to go around and talk to people and convince them that we have a school, we need funding for it, we need books, shelves and tables and chairs. It wasn't that easy, but it was also through the excitement that I did it.
So you started paying teachers, you've hired teachers, and you've got to get those books and all this materials that are needed when you start running a school. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how you managed to put together all these resources and get started.
We were supported by one of the Rotary clubs. They once in a year, Rotarians come to Ethiopia to eradicate. They have a polio project, so they once came and visited my project. So partially they supported us with the school material, and one of the Rotary clubs, one of our local Rotary club also supported us with the books, and Rotractors also, especially I'm a Rotractor, especially
young Rotarians.
Yeah, the Rotractors are young Rotarians. So especially my club members supported me. We made fundraising events. We had a concert. We had a fundraising walk. So through that fundraising events, we were able to get the funding to start the school.
Was that a one-time event?
The concert was a one-time event as well. The walk was also a one-time event. We also have sponsors to support us to let these children to come to school every day. So partially the cost of the sponsors would cover our costs, our running costs. So it's...
And you started an NGO, didn't you?
Yeah, we started an NGO.
But they wouldn't give you the license until you were of age.
Yeah, I mean, it's the law, so I had to wait until I was 18. So I was 18, and after 3 days I got the license.
So what is that NGO? How does it operate? Do you have a board of directors? And it's basically an NGO that's supposed to run the school that you've created, right?
Yes, it's the NGO that owns the school. It's under the ownership of the NGO that the school is running right now. As well, the public library is also running by the NGO. And we have a board of directors, and they'll, they also support us partially. For instance, one of our board of directors when we started was Kuburgana. He was also a great supporter to my project. So the board of directors are really supportive too.
So this is an NGO that brings in resources to run the school. Does it run its own businesses as well?
It doesn't run a business. We have also paying students in the school. The paying students, the income that we gain from the paying students would go to the less fortunate children. So eventually what we're trying to create is a sustainable NGO that makes its own profit, but that uses its profit to run a school that is for less fortunate children. So eventually what will happen is, as the school grows, we'll have more number of children that are paying, and we'll also have more number of children that are not paying for the school. So one advantage would be that it would be an NGO that would support itself. We wouldn't have to raise fund for it all the time. And the other thing is, if we teach children that are less fortunate all by themselves, separate from the children that can pay, we are somehow marginalizing them. So we need to, I believe that we need to integrate everybody. We don't need to have a rich child school and a poor child school. We need to integrate these two parts of the society so that they can build the country. My mom, a single mom raised me, and I lost my dad when I was in second grade. And I always used to fear that I might lose my mom. And I always felt a pity for children who has lost both parents, and they had if you have no one to take you to school or raise you, you'd be in problem. So I always used to feel sorry for those children because
Hello and welcome, I'm Tefera Gedamu. My guest today, when she was 9 years and years ago, dreamed of helping disadvantaged children. Now, still a very young girl, Mahider Kebede has realized her dreams. She has opened a new school.
Of when I was 9, and I don't know how I started. I don't know how it came into my mind. Whenever you're a child, you're supposed to say, I want to be a doctor or a pilot, and you really don't know how that got into your mind. So I really can't remember where the starting point is, but as far as I can remember, my dream as a child was to support children to go.
But how? A very warm welcome to the program, Mahider.
Thank you.
I'm surprised that at your age you've started such a big project. You wanted to provide education to disadvantaged children, but I cannot understand why.
Well, I was very little when I had this idea. I was a small girl. I remember that I wanted to support children at school.
You came from a well-off family. You had all the things that kids need to survive, to play and to live. Was it probably that you lived among children when you were going to school, when you were playing, children who were disadvantaged? Could that probably be the case?
Well, I grew up in a family.